up your YouTube, search for Stukeley Meadows, watch on your big screen. Get yourself comfy, this could take a while, what a happy scene. Something new every day for your long-term memory. This is so exciting, it is nearly time for a Stukeley assembly. Good morning everyone, and welcome to our should-be Thursday music assembly. I'll explain that in a moment. For each other we, every day we, to improve we, together we will. Every single Stukeley day we focus on. Our Stukeley motto is, our Stukeley curriculum is, and 4 words that make the magic happen. Yes. Right everyone, last time it was music assembly, Mrs. Nightingale wasn't able to do it. This week I've asked her if I can borrow this assembly slot, because today's a very special day and some of you will be celebrating today's special day, kind of celebrating it. And I want to talk about that today and make sure that people are keeping Stukeley safe. So today's assembly is going to be all about bonfire night and the 5th of November. This is gonna be great. Remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Now that is a very, very famous little rhyme that I'm sure your families know and your teachers know, and lots of adults, especially if they've grown up in England, will know that little rhyme. And we say it to remember today's date. We say remember the 5th of November, which is today, because something happened many years ago. You may know about it, and I'm sure your minds now are thinking, oh yes, what was that man's name and what happened and why do we have bonfires and why do we have fireworks? Anyway, I'm now going to tell you the story of Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot. It is a great story. I know I say that kind of thing a lot, but it's a really great story. I'm now going to tell it. I'm going to use some pictures to help me. They're very simple pictures, but hopefully they won't overload your brains. Listen to the story. Your teacher and adults that are with you can discuss it too. And then at the end of the story, we're going to talk about some other bits and pieces that are going to help us to be extra safe this year if we're celebrating. You've probably noticed I'm back in this room. Haven't been here for a while, but needs must at the moment. Here we go. Guy Fawkes was born in the year 1570. This was 450 years ago, a long time before Charles Dickens, for example, was born. He lived with his mother, his father and his 2 sisters in the city of York. His mother was a Catholic and his father was a Protestant, as well as Guy. Now, Catholic and Protestant meant their religion. And to try and keep this simple, Catholics believed in God, but also believed that the Pope was a holy man as part of their religion. Protestants believed in God, but they followed the Bible more closely and didn't believe that the Pope was part of their religion. Now, when Guy was only 8 years old, his father died, and then his mother married a Catholic man. This meant that Guy became Catholic. As he grew older, he became a soldier and he went off to fight in Spain. Some years later, the Queen died. We now know her as Queen Elizabeth I. Guy Fawkes was interested in what might happen next and soon heard about a plan that was being developed to kill the new King James, who was a Protestant. Interesting little fact here, King James has the same birthday as me. Not the same year, but the same day of the year. Guy Fawkes travelled back to England from Spain, and there he met up with a man called Robert Catesby. And together they planned to blow up the House of Lords. Now, the House of Lords was where they were hoping that King James would be, so that they could blow up the house and the king at the same time. Guy Fawkes moved into a house which was next to the House of Lords, and from then on he pretended to be called a man known as John Johnson. Guy Fawkes and Robert Catesby and a team of plotters hid barrels of gunpowder under some firewood in one of the cellars underneath the House of Lords. A plan, which is probably not going to end well, is usually called a plot. Now, a few days later, Lord Monteagle, who worked for the king, received a letter which told him to stay away from the Houses of Parliament because somebody knew that the plot was to blow up the houses. Lord Monteagle took the letter to Robert Cecil. Now, Robert Cecil took the letter to the king. Soon after the letter was taken to the king, Guy Fawkes was found underneath the Houses of Parliament. He was arrested near the cellar where the gunpowder was being stored. The rest of the plotters then tried to start a rebellion, which means maybe have a protest or start lots of violence off in the country, but nobody was interested in this, and it soon came to an end. Guy Fawkes was taken to the Tower of London and he was tortured, which means they hurt him and his body until he gave them information. He then shared with them what the plan was. A short time later, there was a shootout and a battle at a manor house, at a large house where some of the other plotters were hiding. During the shootout, Robert Catesby, who you remember from earlier in our story, had planned this whole treasonous job with Guy Fawkes. Robert Catesby was shot dead as part of this shootout, and the rest of the gang were arrested. Eventually, I think in the January of the next year, Guy Fawkes was executed, which means he was killed for treason. And you can talk to your teachers a little bit more about what that is. One of the most famous stories of our country. Please do your very best to remember it. Remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. I told you it was a great little story, and it's one that you'll probably learn about every single year on this date or just before, because it's such a famous part of our English history. Now, before we move on, when I knew that I was doing the assembly today about Guy Fawkes, I wrote out my Guy Fawkes schema. Now remember, a schema is a collection, like a folder, a file, of all of the information, all of the memories, all of the knowledge that you have about something. So you might have a schema all about Star Wars. We know all about Mr. Watley's Star Wars schema. You might have a schema all around dogs and different types of dogs and breeds and what they do and what they don't do. You might have a schema all about Africa and information and knowledge that you know about that continent. Well, I've drawn out my Guy Fawkes schema. Let's see. Now, You don't need to pause the video, but just have a little look at that, and maybe, well, you can pause the video, talk to the person next to you, or talk to your teacher, talk to your family about what that might mean. If I did it again, I'm a bit cross with myself actually, I would have swapped this guy with these barrels. I would have swapped them over, because to have this man under this letter would have been a bit cleverer. Anyway, there's my schema, something that you might find useful in weeks and years to come. Okay, now, as I've already said, people in, I'm going to say United Kingdom, I'm not sure how far people celebrate Bonfire Night. That's an interesting thing to find out, actually. But tonight, some of you might be having some fireworks in your back garden or near your house. If it wasn't the middle of a pandemic, then lots of you might be going to firework displays or bonfire displays. Where I live, every year they have a fantastic free fireworks display, and it's always been brilliant. Thousands of people have gone to it. It's been lots of fun. It's been incredibly safe and just beautiful to look at. It's not happening this year, sadly. But if you look out of your windows when it gets dark, you might see some fireworks going off. Somebody somewhere will have a bonfire, and they might make a body of somebody, which they now call a guy, and they'll put that on top of the, it's not real, they'll put that on top of a bonfire as well. If you are going to get involved, you need to be safe, not just this year, but any year. Here are some safety rules, I think, from BBC Newsround. Please pause the screen, teachers, talk about them for a couple of moments in class. Shout out to Nearly Finished Assembly. Happy birthday, Grace, in year 4. I left my special book at school. Had to WhatsApp Mrs. Cooper to check for me. I knew we had one birthday. Happy birthday, Grace. Hope you've had a lovely day and have got lots of lovely memories to make for the rest of the day as well. Moving straight into most important 60 seconds. The most important 60 seconds are coming up now. The most important 60 seconds are coming up now. Okay, first of all, remember my Guy Fawkes schema. Have a quick look at that. It'd be great if you can put some of that into your working memory, churn it around a little bit, see if you can get it into your long term, draw it out at home later, maybe get a blank bit of paper and just have a go at drawing it out without telling your family, then talk them through it. Great little bit of history from our country. Also, I'm going to put back up on the screen our safety messages around fireworks and bonfires. You might not need them this year, but you'll definitely need them one year, and trust me, in schools you'll be reminded about them every single year around November the 5th. Here it is. Have a great day, everyone. See you very soon.